So you want to know what part of your insurance is costing you the most money. That's why you click the video, and that's exactly what you're going to learn. My name is George Ezide. I'm the founder of the Agent's Office, and this channel is meant to educate you on all of the ins and outs of finance, insurance, and everything in between. I've been working in the financial sector, insurance sector, for almost half a decade. And I've learned a lot of information working for some of the top people in this industry. So that's what this channel is here to do for you. Take what I've learned and pass it on to you in a quick, easy to learn fashion. So let's get right into it. So if you know anything about insurance, if you don't, watch my first video, everything you need to know about insurance, something along those lines. And you'll find out that insurance is really comprised of three main categories. There's your liability coverage, which protects other people from you. And then there's your comp and collision, comprehensive and collision coverages, which protect your vehicle. And then there's uninsured motorist coverage, which covers your vehicle from people out there driving without insurance, which you'd be surprised at how many people out there are driving around without insurance. You might be one of them, or you might have been one of them in the past. I know I was, but that's what it's coverage for. And so here, if you know anything about comprehensive and collision coverage in its essence always pays to repair your vehicle in an accident that you are at fault in. So if you think about that, that means that you ran into something. You hit something. You damaged your car because you ran into something else. So when you use that coverage, or when you have that coverage on your policy, the insurance company knows we are most likely going to have to pay for two cars when this particular coverage is used. Your liability is going to pay for the coverage for the damage you caused elsewhere up to your liability limits. Your collision coverage is going to pay for your car. So it automatically, inherently forces the insurance company to pay for two cars when you use collision coverage, which is why collision coverage is the most, by far, expensive coverage on your insurance. Now, if you're wanting to know, okay, how can I help myself save some money there? Here's a few tips. If you have a youthful driver, a new driver, someone who's young on your policy, who drives your car pretty regularly, you're going to want to make sure to have that coverage at a low deductible because they're most likely going to hit something. So the lower the deductible, the higher your monthly rate. That's true. But at least now when they do hit something, you're only going to have to pay $250 to get the coverage to activate, maybe $500. But if you're someone who doesn't get into any accidents, if you're someone like myself who's never hit anything ever in your life, but you want to make sure that in the off chance that you get into a collision claim and you have an accident where you run into something, then you can have that coverage with a higher deductible. Now, if you're financing a vehicle, most banks don't want you to have a deductible higher than $1,000 because they want to make sure you can afford to pay your deductible to fix their car in the event you're driving it and get into an accident. It's their car because you still have a note on it. So it's technically their car. That's why they can repossess it. But having that coverage ensures that if you do hit something, you're going to be covered enough to be able to get your vehicle repaired, replaced, whatever the case might be. So those are the two ways to think about collision coverage. If you're someone prone to hitting things, or you have young people on your policy, children or brand new drivers, you may want that with lower deductible to save you some out-of-pocket expenses for when a freak accident happens. But if you're a more experienced driver, someone who's not prone to getting in accidents or collisions, you can have that at a higher deductible. Now, none of this is really financial advice. I'm just telling you tips on how to think about your car insurance when it comes to that particular coverage because it is a hefty one. And then if you have an older vehicle, go ahead and look up how much is my vehicle worth. Is it worth it to have this coverage on there? Not telling you whether it is or isn't, but look at it. If your vehicle is only worth $2,000 or under as a cash value, if you were to resell it, you could get less than $2,000. Then you really want to sit back and do the math and see how much it would be, how long you would be paying that premium for collision coverage to equal out to $2,000 because it can happen pretty quick. Now, is there anything else to consider on those coverages? Now, another thing about collision coverage that you want to also be aware of, this little caveat, a tip, if you don't carry uninsured motorist coverage on your policy and you get involved in a hit and run where someone hits you and they drive off, or someone hits you and they don't have any insurance, you have the option of filing the claim under collision, which is not the best option, but it is an option, and here's why. Here's why I say that. If you file it under collision, collision coverage is an at-fault coverage. That means that you ran into something. Now, if you're forced to use that coverage because the person didn't have insurance and they totaled your car, or they hit you when they ran and you need your car, you need to use it, you can file it under collision, and unfortunately, that's basically you saying it was my fault. I did it. And then the insurance company will go ahead and pay the claim. They'll repair your vehicle. They'll get you back up and running. They'll give you a rental car. But on your record, for the next, I don't want to say how long because each state is different, but for a certain period of months, so usually it's 3 years, around there, 36 months, you may have a state assessed surcharge, which is usually a percentage of the claim amount that was paid, will be added to your monthly bill. So it's not the most ideal situation whenever you do get involved in a hit and run or a driver without insurance where you use your collision coverage, but it's there. And I've had multiple circumstances where customers have been in situations where they have been forced to, unfortunately, use their own policy, their collision coverage, basically accepting fault as if it was their fault, to get their car back on the road because of someone else's financial irresponsibility. So at the end of the day, I always recommend having uninsured motorist coverage for multiple reasons, but in case you don't have it, you can use your collision coverage, accept fault, and get your car back up and running and be good to go. So that is why, and that is the most expensive coverage on your policy. I hope this answered your question. Please be sure to follow our channel, subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and drop a comment below with any questions you have. If you had any insights or you have any details you want to share about a situation you might have been in, feel free to share below, and I'll be sure to either respond back to you or make a video answering your question or providing you an option that you may not have thought of. Thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day, morning, or night.